What's going on, YouTube? Dr. Head here, and I apologize for not being on YouTube recently. I've been in Cancun for about the past week, and as you can notice, I've been growing my beard. Didn't really do much, but just sit on the beach and get schlosted. But that's another story. Some big news in the Falcons world that I learned today. The Atlanta Falcons have reached an agreement with Mr. Steven Jackson of the St. Louis Rams, who was in the St. Louis Rams. And I really didn't know. I didn't see the contract details. I just saw what was posted on Facebook and Twitter that the Atlanta Falcons signed Steven Jackson. And you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I won't lie to you guys. I don't really like this signing, and hopefully I get proven wrong. I really hope that I get proven wrong. But you know, I don't really see anything different from what Michael Turner was. And here's my logic. Okay. Steven Jackson is about to turn 30 in July 12th or 13th or whatever. And, you know, we all know the trend about what happens to running backs once they get 30. Once they get 30 and over, it's just, they just, the stats nosedive. I mean, I mean, you're in the NFL, running backs get beat up. They get hit constantly, blocking, running. They get tackled a lot. So it's only natural that over the years their stats slowly start to progress. And if you look at his stats since 2009, I mean, he had 1,400 yards, then he dropped down to 1,200, then he, you know, kind of has mediated around the 1,000-yard range. And that's coming on a team, I mean, granted, he will have a better offensive line than the Rams. He'll be playing in a lot weaker division. I mean, now the Rams have gotten, now the NFC West has gotten exponentially tougher with San Francisco upgrading its wide receivers, and the Seahawks have just decided that they don't even want a drop of water to leak through their defense. I mean, they signed Chris Averill yesterday to an already stacked defense. They got another awesome defensive end. They are going to be a tough team to handle. But, I mean, I don't really see anything different, you know, from Steven Jackson to, I mean, granted, I think Jackson is a better runner, but he's 30 years old. His stats, I mean, who's to say that he hasn't been juiced? I mean, who's to say how much he has left in his tank after spending all that time in St. Louis getting beat up, that he's going to be able to be productive on the side of Atlanta. Now, the only thing I can think of is that now he's actually playing for a team that is somewhat in contention. They're a couple pieces away. Somewhat in contention for the Super Bowl, that might give him an extra boost. You know, like, wow, you know, I got a fairly good offensive line. They're pretty good. A good offensive line. I got great blocking tight ends. I have some pretty good blocking wide receivers. A great quarterback, a good wide receiver core. You know, this should give me an incentive to, you know, play a little bit harder. You know, maybe I can, you know, run a little bit faster, block some tackles, get my team the yards they need to win the game. So hopefully that will be the mentality that is running through Steven Jackson's mind when he comes to Atlanta, because, you know, now that Tony Gonzalez is back, I think this is the year. I think this is like a do or die year for the Atlanta Falcons. They want to get Tony Gonzalez with a ring. They want him to go out as a champion, because he only deserves really to go out as a champion. The guy's been in the league for, what, 18, 17 years? I don't know what. He deserves it. I mean, he's put in the time and he's put in the effort to come out on top, you know? Second second to Jerry Rice in total receiving yards as a tight end. Like, you don't, that's ridiculous. But I still say that the Falcons probably should have handled their running back situation in the draft. Now, if you look at the draft, now I'm going to pull it up right here right quick and just take a second. If you look at the draft, if you look at the draft, the top 32, this is just going off ESPN. A lot of what is needed to be, most of the teams are on defense, you know? Rarely do we, I mean, you see a couple wide receivers, you see some, it's really just defense and offensive line. I still think that the Atlanta Falcons should have not signed Steven Jackson. I think they should have gotten Eddie Lacy. This is my opinion. I mean, think about it. The guy he's fresh, he's young. I mean, if you saw what Trent Richardson did last year on a Cleveland team, Trent Richardson did fairly well, especially in a very tough division when you got the Ravens and the Bengals and the Steelers. I mean, that's no easy. Those aren't easy teams to run against, especially when you got James Harrison and Terrell Suggs, I guess, who's been out for a little bit, but Ray Lewis. I mean, you're running against a pretty tough team. And he still put up pretty decent numbers. I think if we had gotten Eddie Lacy, I think this team would have been, I think the Falcons would have really been a piece or two away from just really on the defensive side. I think as long as they had gotten Eddie Lacy and then gotten some defensive ends through free agency or somebody else, or I guess draft too, that this team would have been really complete. But I mean, I guess the draft is a little bit unpredictable. Eddie Lacy could have been drafted by some other team, or some other team could have, I guess maybe, I don't know, I mean, not really the 49ers. The 49ers don't need a running back. The Ravens don't need a running back. I mean, actually, if you think about it right now, a lot of teams don't really need running backs. You got, let's see, Minnesota doesn't need a running back. Carolina doesn't really need a running back. They got, whatchamacallit? They got the Daily Show, whatever his name is, Jon Stewart or whatever his name is. I don't fucking remember. New Orleans doesn't really need a running back. They're just a pass-happy offense. Tampa Bay's got the hamster man. Dallas doesn't need a running. I mean, most teams are already pretty set on the running back position, minus Atlanta. I mean, Jacksonville doesn't need a running back. They have MJD. And if you talk about teams that really don't have an offensive line, Jacksonville really does not have an offensive line. And look at what MG does every year. I mean, he just got beat up. I mean, he just got injured. But I still think the Falcons should have gone with Eddie Lacy. I think they should have drafted him and then gone through free agency and picked up some defensive end pieces and drafted some defensive pieces to really be a complete team. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Steven Jackson's got a little bit of juice left in the tank. Maybe Thomas Dimitroff sees something in Steven Jackson to really give this team a competitive edge, to give this team an extra boost, and to give this team that extra piece in order to get into the playoffs, or not get into the playoffs, but to get to the Super Bowl. Because honestly, this team, they can't function being one-dimensional. They have to be a team that can throw the ball for 300 yards and run the ball for 120 yards. That's really the only way this team can win ball games, is by keeping the other team off the field, because our defense has been a little shaky. As long as I guess now, since we've addressed the running back situation, we really need some defensive end. We need some pressure. We really need some pressure. We're obviously gonna re-sign Grimes. We got William Moore. We really need to get that front four, settled. John Abraham's gone. He's been whatever. I don't think Dwight Freeney is the answer. I mean, I think he'd be nice. He's got some experience. He's got some veteran experience. But we need 10 sacks, man. We need to really pressure the quarterback. And if we don't have that, then you saw what happened with the 49ers. they're just going to run and they're just going to blitz. I mean, they're just going to run all over us. And they're just going to throw that deep ball to Vernon Davis, the tight end, if we cannot pressure the quarterback. But, again, I mean, I hope Steven Jackson does well. I'm glad to see him on the team. I just, for Tony's sake, I want him to go out on top. And I really would like the Falcons to do whatever they can. And hopefully getting Steven Jackson is what this team needs to get over the edge. But I would have been happier if we'd gotten Eddie Lacy. But who's to say what's going to happen? All we have to do is wait and find out come September. But we don't have a really, we have a pretty difficult schedule. You know, I think we play Seattle. I think we play the AFC West, or no, sorry, the AFC East, or North, or South, or one of the fucking shit. Either way, Dimitrov, good signing, I guess. I mean, you did get him cheap, but you gotta now focus on D. You really gotta get that D stepping up. All right, you want to get the Falcons offense on the field every single play. That's what we need. Just got to keep scoring points, and fucking Dirk Cutter used the no-huddle offense. If we can do those things, we should be set. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll probably make another Falcons video come draft day, and analyze their picks or something or whatever. But I hope everyone has a great day, and again, thanks for watching.